Let's be real for a second. Have you ever done something you knew was bad for you? Like staying up till 3 a.m. scrolling through your phone, knowing you have a huge meeting in the morning. Or maybe you've just stared at your computer, completely frozen, while a massive project deadline just gets closer and closer. Why do we do this to ourselves? Well, it's time to look under the hood and finally understand our own programming.
I mean, it's a great question, right? We think of ourselves as these super-evolved, intelligent beings, but we are constantly working against our own best interests. It's like there's this weird glitch in our code, some hidden program running in the background that we just can't seem to access or control.
So that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're not just going to talk about surface-level psychology. Nope, we are going deep. We're going to look at the core operating system of your brain. We're going to pull back the curtain on those hidden mechanisms that can drive your actions, a lot of the time without your conscious permission. Let's kick things off with two of the absolute classics of human frustration, procrastination and overthinking. Now, here's the thing. We tell ourselves these aren't a big deal, or worse, that they're character flaws. I'm just lazy, or I'm just an anxious person. But what if that's not the real story? What if they're just the predictable result of a very real, very ancient battle happening inside your head?
Okay, so check this out. This slide breaks down that battle perfectly. On one side, you've got your prefrontal cortex. We'll call it the planner. It's the logical, modern part of your brain that thinks about long-term goals. It sees a project deadline. But then you've got the limbic system. This is the ancient, emotional, survival part of your brain. And it doesn't see a spreadsheet. It sees a tiger. It sees a predator.
And this is where things get wild. It's called an amygdala hijack. It's the moment your emotional, tiger-spotting brain literally hijacks the controls from your rational brain. That feeling of dread, that pit in your stomach you get when you think about a big task, that's your limbic system screaming tiger. And what's your first instinct when you see a tiger? You don't sit down and make a 5-point plan, you run. Procrastination, my friends, is just your nervous system trying to get you away from an emotional predator.
And what about procrastination's evil twin, overthinking? Well, this is often powered by something called the Zeigarnik effect. It's a fascinating thing. Psychologists found that waiters could remember incredibly complex food orders perfectly, but only while the bill was still open. The second the customers paid, poof, the memory was gone. Your brain absolutely hates open loops. So when you're replaying a conversation in your head for the 10th time, or obsessing over a decision, your brain is just desperately trying to close that loop to feel safe again.
So, okay, that internal battle explains why we run away from things we should be doing. But what about when we run towards things that we know are going to hurt us? This brings us to one of the most confusing and frankly painful parts of being human. Why are we sometimes drawn to people and situations that are just toxic? The answer is so counterintuitive. It's all about safety, but not in the way you'd think.
Just let that sink in for a second. This one idea, this is the key to unlocking so many self-destructive patterns. You see, to your nervous system, what is known equals safe. So if your childhood was chaotic or unstable or unpredictable, your system learned how to survive in that chaos. So when a calm, stable, peaceful situation or person comes along, it feels totally foreign. And because it's foreign, it feels unsafe. Your brain can literally prefer the pain it understands over a peace it doesn't.
And this gets into a deep psychoanalytic idea called repetition compulsion. It sounds complicated, but it's really the subconscious drive to repeat and reenact unresolved issues from our past. You're not drawn to that emotionally distant person because you enjoy the heartache. You're drawn to them because your subconscious is trying to go back in time and win. It's trying to finally master the situation and get the love and validation you never got as a kid.
And this often plays out in this painful, cyclical dance called the anxious avoidant trap. It goes like this. The anxious person fears abandonment, so they pursue and chase to feel secure. This, of course, makes the avoidant person, who fears being smothered, pull away and retreat. And that withdrawal confirms the anxious person's deepest fear, which makes them pursue even harder, and around we go. It's a tragic, self-fulfilling prophecy.
And just to pour gasoline on the fire, there's the casino effect. Basically, studies show that we will work way harder for a reward that comes randomly than for one that's predictable. So when someone is hot and cold with you, affectionate one day, distant the next, they are literally putting your brain on an intermittent reinforcement schedule. It's not love, it's addiction. They've turned your brain into a slot machine, and you just keep pulling the lever, desperately hoping for a jackpot of affection that may never come.
Okay, we've talked about running from fear, and we've talked about running towards familiar pain.
But what about the weirdest one of all? What about when we run from the very things we say we want most? This brings us to our third and final hidden code, the deep, confusing fear of our own success.
This incredible phenomenon is called the upper limit problem. Think about it like this. You have an internal thermostat that's set to a certain level of happiness and success that you feel deep down you deserve. The moment life gets too good, you get the promotion, the relationship is amazing, you feel great, you exceed that setting, your subconscious panics, and it will literally manufacture a problem, start a fight, make a dumb mistake at work, just to bring the temperature back down to your familiar, comfortable setting.
So why on earth would we do this to ourselves? Well, this quote just nails it. In a really strange way, self-sabotage protects our ego. Think about it. If you don't really try for something and you fail, you can always tell yourself, well, I just didn't put in the effort. But if you give something your absolute 100% all and you still fail, wow, that feels like a fundamental judgment on who you are. Sabotage lets our ego off the hook.
So, all these hidden codes, all this ancient programming running our lives, I know it can feel a little hopeless, like we're just puppets on a string. But here's the good news. The entire point of this is that the moment you can identify the code is the moment you can start to rewrite it. The solution to all of this starts with one thing: awareness.
So, let's just quickly recap the three major codes we've talked about today. First, there's that internal battle, the planner versus the tiger. Then, there's the comfort of chaos, your nervous system's strange preference for familiar pain over unfamiliar peace. And finally, there's that fear of success, your internal thermostat that keeps you from getting too happy.
Now, if you take nothing else away from this today, please let it be this. These things we've talked about, they are just patterns. They're like old software running on a brand new computer. They are not you. The absolute second you can step back and just observe the pattern without judging it, just saying, look at that, there's my upper limit problem again, that is the moment you take your power back. You become the programmer, not the program. So I'll leave you with this question. As you were listening, which one of these ideas made you sit up and go, oh, yeah, that's me? Was it running from the tiger, the casino effect, that internal thermostat? Because just naming it, that is the first, most powerful step to taming it. And understanding your hidden code is the very first step to writing a brand new one.